Okay, to remove the saw blade, you wiggle and loosen that wire, and you should be able to pull a blade out of the bundle pretty easily. And then you can set that aside. So your saw blades have teeth, and when they go in the jeweler saw frame, you want the teeth out and facing down toward the handle. So you'll put this either like on your bench or in your V block or bench pen. And in this section, you're gonna have the blade all the way down. Make sure the teeth are out and facing down. You'll hook that in between this little piece of metal and the main metal piece, and the blade's all the way down, and it's not attached at the top yet. Now to get it taut, you're going to want to kind of push in a bit and then tighten it as it's flexing. Release, and you should be able to pull from the inside where there's no teeth. The teeth are on the out, and you'll hear the little, then you know you've got it in tight and it's in right, and the teeth are going down toward the handle. Okay, set that aside, and we are good to go to put our pattern on our metal. So if you have a straight edge in your design, definitely use the metal that's already cut straight. You know, don't make yourself have to cut even more. You can definitely put your design up against and use the straight edge if you have that in your design. Okay, and see, it's not sliding around, it's on. And the good thing about using the contact cement, whenever you're done and want to remove your pattern, the glue just rolls right off the metal. It's really easy to clean up. It doesn't take a lot of effort to remove that. Okay, so once you have your saw blade in your saw frame, you're gonna wanna use a little bit of wax or soap on the saw blade, or beeswax. I have a piece of beeswax here. A bar of soap or candle wax works fine too. So just put a little bit. Now, as you can see on this piece, you should start practicing cutting straight lines and then straight lines to curves. So you'll rest it on this is your V block or bench pen. It's a very important tool. It supports your metal while you're cutting and while you're filing. It saves your hands from getting tired and worn out. So you want to just practice cutting straight lines. So nice, long, even strokes, and you do not want to push forward. If you push forward too hard, you'll break your blade. So just kind of practice cutting your straight lines. And there's V's cut in the wood depending on how much you need support. If you're way out here in the wide part of the V and you cut and you notice it's kind of chattering or shaking, you probably need to move back in the smaller part of the V where there's more wood to support your piece while you cut. So just practice cutting a nice straight line. And when you're done, you can always just slide right back through. So practice cutting straight line, and then practice cutting a straight to a curve. When you use your saw, you have to think about it as a sewing machine needle or a scroll saw blade. The needle or the blade is moving constantly up and down, and you're moving the wood and the fabric. So when you're doing curves, you have to do both. You have to keep moving up and down as you turn the metal. And you can't stop and turn your blade, you'll break it. So kind of just practice doing a little wave, nice and easy. when you're ready to stop, it's hard to snake your blade through it. You'll break it, so you just want to undo the top and pull your blade out. And that way you can stop, take a break, or move on to another spot. So now, once you feel comfortable and you practiced doing that, you can start cutting your around your piece for your layers of metal. I usually shade in the areas I want to pierce out. You can see, like in the cat's ears, those are your piercings, your requirements. It makes it a little bit easier for me to see, and I don't get confused on what sections to cut out and not. So get your saw blade back in. Make sure it's taut. Always check. A little bit more wax, and then I can start practicing and cutting the outside shapes. My piece, I'm going to start over here. I'm not going to cut the whole piece out. I don't want to take up that much time of your video, but you do know that you would do all your sawing and do all your piercings. At this point, that's your first step. So, follow your design, your patterns. Feel comfortable with the blade. There, so just keep cutting until you get all the outside of your shapes done. Next, once you do all that, you're going to want to do your piercings. This is your other requirement in this piece, your piercings. To do that, you need to drill a little hole inside each of the shapes that you want to cut out. Now, to do that, we have Dremel tools that are on most of the benches, and they're foot pedal operated. Get my pedal over here. Let's see. And you'll need a small drill bit, which we have here too. So to insert your drill bit, there's chuck keys that work with the Dremels. They slide in here, and that will loosen and open up the 3 jaws. So this is a small drill bit, so I'm gonna close them just a little bit and slide that in. Kind of hold it up because I do not want to clamp it onto the flutes of the drill bit. Make sure it's in there tight. Next, we don't drill into our desktops. Desks will have scrap pieces of wood on them for you to use. Let me grab one here to drill in. Now, before you drill into metal, it's not like drilling into wood where it's soft and it'll drill where you want the drill to go. Metal, the drill bit will want to slide around and scratch your surface and probably drill where you don't want it. So we use what is called a center punch to make a little divot. This is a center punch that just requires to be hit with a mallet or a hammer to make a divot. I have to get my correct hammer out of here. Usually it doesn't take a lot of force, so a rawhide mallet works fine. So you can just tap and it makes a little divot. This is not drilling the hole. This is just making a little divot so the drill bit knows where to go. They also sell, and we have in the studio, these spring-loaded ones where just kind of push down and they make a little divot. As you can see, it's not going through the metal, it's just making a little spot so the drill bit knows where to drill. So you would go and do a little divot inside each of the spots. So you're ready to drill. Now when using the drills, it's required safety goggles to be worn while you're using the drills. So you would then put the drill right in that divot, and you don't want to hit the pedal hard. You want to kind of do it slowly and then gently push. Now this is a good example. It's not going through very easily. It's probably because the drill bit may be old or just dull. So I'm gonna change that out. Not a big deal, it happens. Plus it's been a few months since I've been in the studio. So we're just gonna change that out real quick. Hopefully this one will work better. There. So you'll drill a hole inside each of the spots where your piercings are gonna go. Now you can see in this kind of butterfly design, I have these dot patterns. I would probably end up using just different various size drill bits for those. And if I wanted them a little off in shape, not exactly a circle, I could go in with a file and kind of make those a little bit different shaped. So just remember, if it doesn't drill easily like this, it's not you or the Dremel, it's more than likely the drill bit just is dull. Okay, so after you have all the holes drilled, you're ready to do your piercings. You'll want to undo the top part of your saw, and you kind of just take your finger and push it out like this, and you can then thread, let me see, I'll do this bigger section. Thread the saw blade in the hole, and you'll tighten the blade in again, just like before. There, so now you're ready. A little bit more wax or soap to do your piercings. Now piercings can be tricky because there's lots of little tight cuts and corners, just depending on your design. I mean, some of these don't, they've got pretty good curves. A lot of the times you can always sharpen up these cuts with different shaped files. So don't be alarmed if you can't cut perfectly. And a lot of times in these sections you can saw in and then saw in at another angle to meet up. So I'm going to start cutting into this corner. Now it sounds weird. I'm to a point where it's a point and I need to turn all the way the other way. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of sawing backwards, or just right into one spot. I'm not going forward, and this allows me to make that turn without breaking my blade. And now I'm able to continue cutting. Now this is a real tight spot, so I'm gonna cut into that spot, and then I'm gonna back up and remove my blade and put it back in that drilled hole and go the other direction to meet up in that section. I think that would be easier. Oop, that's a little loose. There we go. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut the other way. And meet back up. fall out your pierced section. Okay, so once you get all the outside edges cut and then all your piercings, you're ready to move on to your next phase, which is filing and sanding. At this point, you could take your pattern off, so you can also be able to start working on your surface finishes. So, you know, you can remove all that and move to filing. I'm just gonna use the Sky to work with the files. But you do understand that everything will be cut out. Your pieces will be, you know, cut out like so, like this. So different size files. You guys will also be getting technical handouts that have all this, and it'll be on the D2L page, your technical handouts. And when you come to campus, you can pick up paper copies also if you'd like. So I'm going to pause the video and get set up for filing and sanding and some surface finishes.